So that's great. So it's a great pleasure for me to be introducing this evening Deana Owen, who is a long-standing friend and participant in Bridgend Quaker meeting, um, and who has long also been active in the organization Friends of Monze, which he will tell us more about in a short time. Um, uh, and the title of her address is How a Welsh Charity and Partner in Zambia Address Challenges in Education, Health, Climate Change, and Women's Rights. And my understanding is that Charles Dinder is here representing the partner in Zambia. I think that's correct, Deana, isn't it? Yeah, I think the I can see half your
Yes.
face at the moment, Deana. I've just got to click on a button to get rid of a something. Oh, good. Now I can see all your face. That's better, and all the face of Charles as well. That's great. So, I would like to hand over to you two, and we're screen sharing already, and we look forward to hearing a good deal about this partnership, including the answer to the question, where is Monze, which is we're being asked at the moment.
Uh, thank you for inviting me to talk this evening. And thank you for setting this up. I'm going to talk about the charity Friends of Monze and our partner organisation in Zambia. First off, to tell you where is Monze. You can see on the map Zambia, right, landlocked country, right in the middle of Africa, just south of the equator. And Monze is a small town in between the capital, Lusaka, and the tourist destination, Livingstone. Zambia is best known for the Victoria Falls for tourists, but we're going to talk about another side of Zambia where we're working. Monze is a district in the southern province of Zambia. So it's a town and it's a large rural area. Mostly we work in the rural area. Where I'm happy to be talking to the United Nations Association this evening because what we work towards are the Sustainable Development Goals. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are a global blueprint for creating a fairer, healthier, and more sustainable world by 2030. And there are 17 of these goals. They're integrated into the Zambia National Development Framework. And so they're what goes on in Zambia, and they're what we're working towards all the time. We're a very small charity, so we just work towards some of the development goals. Come back. These are the main ones we're working towards, preventing poverty, hunger, well-being, and good health, and quality education. As I say, we only work in one place, which is that one district of Zambia. The other development goals we work towards: gender equality, clean water and sanitation, and partnership. So I'm going to talk about the goals in turn. The first one I want to talk about is partnership. I want to introduce Charles Dinder, who's here this evening, and he's the chair of our partner organisation, Zambia Women and Girls Foundation. We've been working together in partnership as two organisations, Zambia Women and Girls Foundation and Friends of Monze charity. We've been working together since 2012. This is when we first started working together. The first project that we worked on was rebuilding this school, which is called Lashomo School. One of the figures sitting outside the school there is Charles. This school had no doors, no windows, no desks. The children were just sitting on bricks. So we worked together to help that school. Our partnership based on trust and working together. We have a shared child protection policy and a shared memorandum of understanding. We communicate almost every day. I'm hearing from someone in Monze. We use all modern communications. I live on WhatsApp, Facebook, Zooms, emails, everything. And I try and visit Zambia to see what's going on there. As I say, we're a registered charity based at my home in Bridgend. So we don't have overheads, and I'm retired, so I don't need the salary. These are some of the problems that we're working towards helping. In Zambia, 65% of children suffer from at least 3 deprivations. Lack of health, lack of nutrition, 32% of children are stunted. Lack of water, poor sanitation, and drought and climate change. There are many orphans, partly due to HIV/AIDS. Lack of women's rights and early marriage, girls getting married early. Lack of adequate housing, poverty and unemployment, and lack of education. So these are the problems that we're looking at tackling. I'll talk about education first. And we've got a lot of challenges that we're trying to help. The first challenge, as you saw from the slide 2012, a lack of classrooms. You can see in this slide, these children just didn't have a classroom. They're sitting outside. There's the teacher and the blackboard. We get requests for help from many schools that are like this. This is Mangolo School. That's the blackboard. Classroom without walls, desks, floor, and roof. And the blackboard was just broken. So you can see there are challenges for the teachers in education. These are the children at Mangolo before we started helping them. That's their best desk. The other children are just sitting on the floor, sitting on bricks. So you can see it's very difficult for them to be learning. Mangolo's a school in quite a remote area. This is another school that asked us for help before we helped them. That's their classroom with a broken roof and no doors and just not adequate for children to be learning. We get many requests for assistance from schools. Our partners have got a folder full of requests, and it's difficult to decide which schools we're going to be helping. We prioritise schools that demonstrate communities that demonstrate an enthusiasm for education. If they've started to prepare the building materials to build classrooms, then we know that in that community, families and parents are going to be helping their children and encouraging them with their education. So if we want to help a school with buildings, we ask the community, to make bricks. This is no small matter. They have to make 17,000 bricks. Those bricks are all moulded from earth, dried in the sun, and then they have to be fired in a kiln. And this is a big pile of bricks, a big brick kiln with mud on the outside, and fires inside. They burn for 5 days and then they cool down. So the bricks are slowly heated and slowly cooled. So they're ready for building. I say it's a big ask, but the communities do make the bricks. This lady is a grandmother. She wanted her children to have a school, so she moulded these bricks. Women have to crush stones, which is hard work. They crush the stones for the foundations for the school. And while the school is being built, the community provides labour, unskilled labour, and women carry buckets of water for making the cement. This is one of the schools that we've built. Together, Friends of Monze and Zambia Women and Girls have actually built or repaired 22 schools in the Monze district so far. This one's Malimba School. We follow the standard Zambian classroom plan: 3 classrooms, 2 offices, and storerooms. And there's a special room for keeping exam papers. This is another school that had a problem. We've helped a few schools where they haven't had a roof on the classroom. One of the problems is that termites eat their way through wooden beams, and then the roof blows off. The roof blew off the classrooms at this school, so children weren't able to take their exams. They urgently contacted us and asked us to help. Unfortunately, we were able to get a new roof on the school in time for the children to take their exams. These were their end of primary school exams, something like 11 plus, really important exams that the children need to do well to go on to further lessons in secondary school. The next challenge is lack of desks. If children are sitting on the floor, they can't they can't write. It's really difficult. So we provide desks for the schools. Just to show you, when the desks were delivered at this school, Lumbramoynia School, the children are all outside singing. They're so happy that the desks have come.
See this picture.
So we're providing desks for the schools as well. Another challenge is that the schools don't have books. I've mentioned termites already. If you look at this is the storeroom of a school we helped called Chilwa, before we were helping them with building. You can see these brown lines on the wall. This is where the termites are busy eating away at the wall. And these are all the books that school had. And they're all getting steadily eaten by the termites. You see books and posters that look like they've got a big bite out of them. And that's the termites. So we provide books for the schools. We provide curriculum books for each school that we build. We also provide reading books for children so they can learn to enjoy reading, and they've got books that they can take home and share with their parents. Another challenge is lack of sports equipment. They really do enjoy football in Zambia. When we give a school footballs, everyone is very happy. Footballs also encourage boys to attend school. We've actually got a shortfall of boys' enrolment in the schools. There are more girls enrolled than boys. So because the boys are wanted out herding the cattle and goats. So having sports equipment improves health and improves school attendance. Another challenge that we help with is lack of adequate housing for the teachers. I've said the schools are in rural areas, and there's no proper roads, particularly when it rains. The schools are just inaccessible. You can't take a vehicle to the school. They just get stuck in the mud. So the teachers have to live at the school. If there's not adequate housing, we find that sometimes teachers, like the man in the middle here, is the headmaster at this school, Hamanyangwa. And when we first met him, he'd been 2 years living in his office because there was no house for him to live in. He was so keen that we help the school. Really inspiring. Sometimes we find that the community have built a house for the teachers, but the house that the community has built is not of a good standard for the teachers and their families to be living in. This is a house at Mangolo. You can see no window, just blocked up. No water supply, no light, really difficult for the teachers. So we build houses for teachers, and we've built 17 houses or completed houses for the teachers. That's the new house at Mangolo. The demand for houses is more than we can keep up with, but we try and make sure there's 1 or 2 decent houses at the schools that we build. This is another school, Namateba, that needed houses. So to summarize, this is a school that we've helped, Hambalamatu School. We provided desks, curriculum books. We provide posters for the walls. and sports equipment. But it's not enough to be help providing the classrooms and the equipment for education. We need to know that we are actually getting some education results. So this is a summary of 9 schools where we've given the Happy Readers, which is a reading scheme we give to the schools when we've got enough money. Looking at schools by grade, they started using the Happy Readers at grade 2, going up to grade 6. The red line is below average. The orange and yellow are average and good, and the green is very good. And you can see that the reading ability has increased as they've gone through the school going up to grade 6. So we can show that we're actually improving education. To help with health, I say we're a small charity, we can't do everything, but the challenge that we are meeting is the lack of eye tests in school. We noticed that some children are not learning to read, and the teachers pointed out to us some children having problems, and we realised that they don't have eye tests in school. So we arranged for a doctor from Monze Mission Hospital and a team of 4 people to go to schools to do eye tests. And we have found these little girls, they're waiting their turn for eye tests. We found that 3/4 of the children needed treatment for eye infections. It's very dry in Zambia. There's only one rainy season. It's dry and it's dusty. So children are rubbing their eyes with hands that they haven't washed, and they've got eye infections and allergic conjunctivitis. If it wasn't treated, it would be causing blindness. Yeah, these children have all been given treatment for eye infections. Also, because the eye tests are carried out in the community, elderly people can come along and take advantage of the fact that the doctor is there. And she refers people for cataract operations, or we provide glasses as well. Charles, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charles, we could see you saying something, but we could not hear you. Could you say
Okay.
something now?
Yes, I'm
Oh,
here.
good.
Yeah,
We can hear you.
yeah. I was on mute, so
Oh, right.
uh,
Okay.
I'm sure
Now
you
you're
you get
unmuted.
me. Yes. So challenge number 7 is working is trying to provide water. Most of the schools do not have adequate and clean water. Therefore, you can see the kids in that picture. It takes a month, 2 months before they can have water to bath. Mostly households, especially during the dry season, they only have water for cooking and drinking. Otherwise, they lack uh, water points where they can have clean water, which is adequate throughout the year. So, as an organization or a partnership, we have taken on this challenge. Once we identify a school to support, the first thing we do is to drill a borehole. And then we initially install a hand pump so that kids are able to have access to water. That's the machine that we hire to drill the boreholes. And when we are drilling a borehole at a school, the entire school and even some community members will come and wait. Kids will not go home until they see water gush out of the borehole. So once we have drilled the borehole, then later through our partner, Friends of Monze, we source for funds so that instead of using a hand pump, because water levels now have gone down. So once you put 15 pipes for a hand pump, it becomes heavy for the kids. So we would source for funds so that we buy solar submersive pump, and then we'll put up a tank. Then kids will be happy to get water through taps. And we have done this so far we have installed, I think 12 boreholes that are powered by solar submersive pumps. So in the picture, that's one of the schools, Skavenga, which we supported. Let's see the next photo, slide. Yes. So once we provide water which is clean and adequate, then we'll train the teachers, the community members in water, sanitation, and hygiene. And then we also show them like to make very simple racks where they can be keeping their utensils like plates, pots, and so on and so forth. Next, Dina. Yes. The other thing we have done is to train the pupils again, the teachers and the community members around the school on how to make TP types where they just have to put water in a container, and then once they tip it, they press or step on a rope, then they'll be able to be getting water and wash their hands, especially like when they come, when they are back from using a toilet, they have to wash their hands before they go back to class. So this is working very well. Next, Dina. Yes. Again, most schools do not have adequate toilets. We only schools in urban areas have waterborne toilets. Schools in rural communities, we have to build latrine toilets. So again, here, there's little support from the government. The community will try to put up these toilets, but they are always not adequate compared to the number of kids at a particular school. So we have come in as well to support. So this construction was taking place at one of the partner schools we are supporting, Namateva. Next,
To tell
Dina.
you how short the schools are of toilets, the one that you just saw where the roof blew off, Malama, they've 871 pupils and they have 4 toilets.
Mm. Yeah, so it's quite an issue. Then on challenge number 11, this is about drought. Zambia, like many African countries, has been hit by drought from 2019 until the last farming season, 2024-2025. We've had a series of droughts. As a result, harvesting failed throughout that period, meaning almost all the households did not have enough food So it was quite challenging for the kids to go to walk to school on empty stomachs, sit in class for half a day without eating anything. So most of them opted to stay at home instead of going to school because sometimes they would get very weak. At times they would just be dozing in class because they had not eaten anything probably the previous day. Uh, so we tried as a partnership to intervene in this area. I think we managed to feed kids for a term, but we discovered this was quite expensive. It needed a huge budget which we could not manage. So it's not sustainable on our side. We felt we should do other things than feeding the kids. At least government has come in on this part. They are providing boiled maize corn. At least kids get something. Like that boy in the picture with the plastic. That's the kind of food they are given. The next slide, Dina. So in trying to mitigate climate change, once we drill a borehole at a school, we'll support the school with a school garden, we'll buy fencing wire, and support the school by the tools that they'll be required to use in the school garden. And then we teach them on permaculture so that they become sensitive to the environment and also realize if they are to get anything from the environment, they have to protect, they have to care the environment. And then we also train the community members, teachers, and the children on water harvesting. So this was one training at one school, Kasaka. The participants had to dig those swales to trap water so that it doesn't just run off. So once the water is blocked and slowed down, then it's forced to sink down. As a result, it will increase water levels underground. The next slide. Those are the results. These kids are from the other school, which we have already shown, Skavenga, where we provided a school garden, a borehole, and there's a tank. So they use the water to grow vegetables. They also plant or develop tree nurseries. And they also identify those crops that are drought resistant. Then they are also trained on how to retain most of the moisture in the ground for a long time through mulching. And we train them also on how to make organic fertilizer. We are discouraging the use of chemical fertilizers because of the negative or the dangerous impact that they have on human life and also organisms in the soils. They have also been trained on intercropping. It helps to reduce the diseases that attack the crops. So this has been embraced by the schools and also the community members. So these skills are provided at a school. We use a school as a center of excellency, and then the skills acquired, eventually they are spread out in the communities through the kids and the community members themselves. Those are happy harvesters at one of our partner schools in Tambo. They were harvesting sugar beans. So usually the produce they get from the gardens, either they will cook and feed the kids as a school, or they'll sell some of the produce and buy some requirements that are needed to help further or easen up their education. So you can see that's behind the classroom block. This is a school garden. They have vegetables, there are citrus trees, bananas on the other side, and also intercropping. You can see there are sweet potato leaves there, and other veggies. So this is working very well. We are trying to address zero hunger, not just at household level, but also while kids are at school. This is a training which we conducted at Mungolo School. What we are doing with the community members is to identify some of the wild vegetables, those that grow in the forest, and also fruits that have been growing in the forest, but they are getting extinct now. So we are encouraging them to domesticate some of these natural foods and fruits. So for this particular group, we trained them on how to plant cassava, how to care for it, and get a harvest. The beauty about this plant is that it doesn't need much water. Once it germinates using the stalks, throughout the year is evergreen, and they'll get the leaves for relish. They'll get the tubes for food, and then the stalks can be sold to the neighbors as as an income generation. Next slide. Yes, Dina.
Yes, I put it.
Right. So challenge 12 is addressing issues of gender equality. Um, in most African countries, gender discrimination, gender-based violence has a female face. I'm sure you know what I mean. The most victims are the women and girls. So we have developed a tailor-made program to raise awareness and sensitize the community members, the teachers, the children themselves, and the traditional leaders. In rural areas, we do not have police, we do not have social welfare department, community development department. We don't have these departments. For example, an abused woman in the community does not have access to a police station where they can report. So the nearest and the only people that can help are the traditional leaders and the teachers. So when we conduct these trainings, we bring the stakeholders together and talk about human rights, women's rights, children's rights, and what should be done to promote and also protect these rights. So you can see these women have a reason to smile because they were empowered after the training. They realized they can actually report all the abuses that are happening to their girls and also to themselves. So that was a group of learners who were trained. So we bring these kids and train them for 5 days. So we provide basic information on children's rights, child abuse, how to identify a child who's undergoing abuse. And then once these kids are trained, they become peer educators. They talk to their fellow kids about their rights and what they can do when they realize one of them is being abused. And this is working very well. Next slide. Would you
Thank
want
you,
to talk
Charles.
about that, Deana? Yeah.
Yes. One of the challenges that we tackle is lack of menstrual hygiene management. Girls in rural areas can be too poor to buy sanitary pads, and there are not shops that are selling them. So we have organised 3 church women's groups to be sewing washable, reusable pads. This is the Seventh-day Adventist church women's groups, and they are sewing pads. And we also provide underclothes for the girls in all the schools where we work. We provide some equipment for them. Washable, reusable pads are the only sustainable answer. Otherwise, girls are missing 3 or 5 days a month, and they fall behind with their education and drop out of education. We're also working towards preventing poverty. There's a lot of unemployment in Zambia. Zambia has a very young population. 1/3 of the population are under about 18. So there's a lot of unemployment. So we train building apprentices while we're building the classrooms. They have theoretical training, and then while we're building the classrooms, they learn practical skills on site. We've trained apprentice builders at 6 of the schools that we're working at, and these apprentices can then go on to gain employment, or they can be working in the community or working for an employee. Some of them are working for the building contractor who builds the schools for us. The last challenge that we're going to talk about tonight is addressing the climate action sustainable development goal. There is a problem of deforestation. We've mentioned we have tree nurseries at the schools. This is an area of deforestation. The little orange dot in the middle there is actually me, which gives you some idea of scale. So one of the causes of deforestation is using wood for firewood. So we teach making fuel-efficient cookers. They use small amounts of firewood. Less than half the quantity of firewood is needed for cooking on these little fuel-efficient stoves. The traditional alternative is a 3-stone stove where logs are sticking out at the edge, and they're really not safe for children. I've seen a lot of children with burns and scalds. And say with these fires reduce the need for firewood. We've taught community members to build these stoves, and then they can use that skill to build stoves for other people and to generate income. So this is how we work together. Friends of Monze Charity in Bridgend and Zambia Women and Girls Foundation in Monze towards the Sustainable Development Goals. So children are healthy, educated and prepared for their future. These are children at a school we built called Kachindo. And this is Malimba School. Our two organisations working together to overcome challenges and deliver the Sustainable Development Goals. So thank you all for listening.